how to get started in marketing. That is one of the most common questions that people aren't thinking about when they actually want to get into marketing, right? People want to get into marketing. Maybe they've heard about starting a social media marketing agency. They've seen a lot of other successful agencies and they want to jump in and go straight into marketing. But what they aren't asking themselves is, how do you actually get into marketing, right? How do you get good at it, right? A lot of people, what they do is they buy a course and then they go out and try to get clients and they try to learn that way. Now, that has its drawbacks and it's got its benefits as well. But the main downside of that is you have to learn two skills at once, right? You have to get clients, which is a skill in itself. You have to learn sales. You have to learn prospecting, like how to get in front of how to get the sales call. And then you have to also learn the second part of the equation, which is the actual marketing, right? And both of those skills are separate jobs. That's why companies have salespeople and they've got marketing divisions, right? If it was easy, companies would only hire one person to do the marketing and the sales. But companies divide up sales and marketing, right? So people want to jump in and they want to learn both skills at once, and they don't realize that both of those skills have a learning curve, right? You're not going to be good at either of them straight away. Very unlikely. And so you're trying to sell, but you're going to have trouble selling, number one, because you're not a salesperson, and number two, you don't know what you're talking about because you have never run the marketing campaign. So it's harder to be persuasive and convincing, right? When people buy, they buy certainty. Whoever's more certain wins. And so the question then is, all right, well, what do you do if you actually want to get really good at marketing? What's the first step to take? And to demonstrate or to express to you how you can do this, I'll talk a bit about my story and how I got started. So 8 years ago, 2016, I'm walking into a bar. And as I'm walking in, I see a guy that looks very familiar, right? And I go up to my friend and I say, this guy, I just saw someone that looks exactly like Tai Lopez, right? We both work for Tai at the moment. Sarosh is part of his executive team.
Yep.
Handling, we've got to do it. We've got to get a bit of Sarosh's secrets on what Sarosh does, maybe in another episode, so watch out for that one.
But let's begin with your background. Like, what did you do before you started marketing? Like, and what's your education? Does that help? Does that not help?
So I'm walking into the bar. I see this guy. It looks like Tai. I say to my friend, I think that's Tai Lopez, and he's like, let's go say hi. Lucky my friend was there. Otherwise, I might have never said hi. But I ended up going to say hi to Tai, and to cut a long story short,
So it was Tai.
It was Tai.
No.
I actually asked him for a job. A couple of days later, he had an event on in Sweden, and he said to me, well, what are your skills, right? And in that moment, I kind of realized I'd probably put in like maybe 1,000 hours, like conservatively 1,000 hours into studying marketing, right? I had watched a ton of YouTube videos. I had been in Tai's social media marketing agency course. I had read a lot of books. I was studying marketing at university, but I realized my actual skills, I didn't have them, right? I just had knowledge in my mind, right? I had been reading a lot of books, but I hadn't been actually going out and learning the skills by doing it, right? Because that's really how you learn. You learn by doing. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience for me.
So was it your first job with Tai?
No. So I was doing, at that stage I was like unemployed pretty much.
Uh-huh.
I was in university.
Okay.
I did have a job, but unrelated to marketing, unrelated to sales. And so I ended up actually, realizing I need to learn some skills. How can I learn some skills? Well, I used Tai's framework of going straight to the top, and I found who was the best in Australia at very similar to what Tai was doing. He had a big coaching business selling coaching training, right? For coaches, teaching coaches how to become a coach. He was a coach for coaches.
That's interesting.
And I actually applied. It's funny. My strategy was to become an intern, and I applied for a lot of companies. Like I was probably applying for 30 companies a day as an intern, and I barely heard back from any, but the one that I did hear back was this guy. And pretty much, it was perfectly aligned role for me. It was exactly what I was into, what I was like spending all my time. I knew all the players in the industry. I knew all the lingo, right? I knew how to speak the language. And so on that interview that I had with him, I had one interview with like a quick phone call with his head of marketing at the time, and then I had another call after with this guy, right? Unnamed, can't name this guy.
Okay.
Could get arrested if I mention his name. But on that interview, he offered me an internship straight away. He's like, well, when can you start? I was like, I can be in your office right in an hour. I can be there now. He's like, all right, well, how about you start on Monday? This is like a Friday. So I started learning from someone, right? Inside a company, spending someone else's money. And, I learned very quick. Within the first week, I had probably learned more than I had learned in the last 2 years of watching YouTube videos and not putting it into practice.
Okay.
Because by actually doing it, I could see what was working and what wasn't working, and I could kind of cut through the bullshit of the YouTube videos and the books and all the information that's in your mind that theoretically works. It's like picking up a girl, right? You can read a book on how to pick up a girl, but
Yeah.
it's that's a good example, but another example is swimming. Like,
Yes.
imagine reading a book on how to swim
And not trying it.
and not trying it. So that's what I had been doing up until that point, and that's what a lot of people do, right? They kind of binge watch a lot of training videos and courses and things like that. But if you want to learn to swim, you need to actually get in the pool. Now, again, most people, they get in the pool by themselves. They get a client and they just dive straight into the deep end and they're like, I'm going to learn to swim as I'm doing it. But what's the downside of that? You can drown, right? So how do you learn to swim without drowning? You get someone watching over you.
You mean a mentor or a trainer?
Yeah,
or
a
like
lifeguard.
like an internship.
Yes, exactly. So I started out with an internship, and I recommend doing it one of two ways: either getting an internship, an unpaid internship, with the best company you can, or getting a paid job with the best company you can. Because straight after that internship, I ended up getting a paid job at one of the biggest agencies in the world, definitely one of the biggest agencies in Australia. And there, I had gone from learning for free to actually learning and getting paid. There, I learned 10 times more than I learned at the
And
internship.
do you think it is worth it to pay for a course or a whole degree, or
Yeah.
can you just start with something like you just mentioned?
I recommend a mix of both, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. One of the frameworks that we've learned from Thai is, well, two frameworks. Number one, there is no black and white, right?
Yeah.
So people are like, I'm either going to do the course or I'm going to get the internship or the job,
Yeah.
right? And they're like one or the other, right? Big mistake. There is no black and white. Secondly, Charlie Munger says avoid extreme ideologies.
Yeah.
So extreme ideologies is I'm only going to do one or I'm going to do the other. This is what I found helped me the most, because I was doing the courses and the YouTube videos, and I was doing the job where everyone I was working with just learned from the job, but I was able to bring in information I had learned from Ty Lopez, from Grant Cardone, from Gary Vee, from all these online marketers. I was able to apply that knowledge to a workplace where no one else had external information. And so that helped me accelerate a lot.
So what advice would you give to someone who is literally just starting? They know nothing about marketing. They cannot afford a course.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot pay for pay for a course or pay to a mentor or a trainer to, like, how do they start? Like, are there any free resources on internet? Like, which ones would you recommend? Because it's a lot on internet and it's overwhelming for someone who is just beginning.
Yes.
So what are some resources, like 2 or 3, that you would recommend? You already mentioned YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So name some of those.
So pretty much everything you need to know is on YouTube,
Okay.
right? The reason people buy courses is because it collates, it brings together the information in a step-by-step process. But if you don't want to pay for a course, you can learn from YouTube. You just need to get the steps yourself.
Okay.
But I would always combine the knowledge, right, the YouTube or the training,
With
the books,
practice.
with practice, right, with getting in the pool and swimming. So you want to be, so when you're starting out in marketing, you want to get the practice. However it is, whether it's through your first client, which if you're going to do it through your first client, start small.
Okay. And all right, you told us about your background and how you started it and what people should do and if they are just beginning right now. Tell us more about how to go from 0 to 1, like how to get your first client or your first job, how to land it. Like you already mentioned that it's a different skill set.
Yeah.
So someone who is learning marketing through YouTube and they have the theoretical knowledge,
Yes.
what's like your 3 tips to land their first job or land their first client?
Yeah.
How to get paid?
So the good and the bad news. The good news is, if you want to do this, you already have your first client. And your first client is yourself, right? You got to treat yourself like a business. And if you're doing your own marketing, how would you market to a business?
So you mean you need to market yourself?
You need to market yourself to a business to get an internship or to get a paid job.
Okay.
So you need to apply this is the test of your knowledge at the beginning. This is your first project. Your first project is, how can I, number one, identify your target market. So in marketing, what you need to do when you're putting out an ad, for example, you're setting up a Facebook ad, you have to choose the audience. Before you can set the ad live, you choose your audience. So same thing with yourself. You've got to choose your audience. So identify who you want to learn from. The strategy here is you want to learn straight from the top, learn from the best, right? So number one, find your audience, okay? Your target market, create a list of 15 companies, 15 dream companies you'd like to work for. You can have the number one, and you can, but don't aim for too high, and don't aim for too low, right? You need to
Start small.
Start small, but start good.
Okay.
If that
Not
makes
too
sense.
small.
Not too small. Yeah, start
Okay.
at a company that actually has experience. So what do you think is better if you want to become a chef or manage a restaurant? Do you think it's better to work for a cafe down the road, or do you think it's better to work for McDonald's? Right?
Yeah.
I would argue it's better to work for McDonald's because they're a multi-billion-dollar company with the systems and processes in place, and that is actually starting small because they're always looking for people, right?
Yes.
So find your target market. That's number one. Number two is you need to get attention, right? You need to direct them to you, and so they find out about you. So obviously the traditional ways is just apply, right? Through a job board, for example, or LinkedIn, right? You just apply. But that's kind of a mistake. So the job that I got at this big agency on LinkedIn is how I found the job, and on LinkedIn it shows you how many people applied. So there were 200 and 200 is the max. After 200 it just says 200 plus, and there were 200 plus on my job. It was like an entry level marketing role, right? And so
it's just an internship.
It's just an internship.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. This is after the internship.
Okay.
This is my first paid role. This is where I learned the most out of everything I've ever done. I've never learned more than at this one place. So what I did, which isn't even that advanced, but it allowed me to stand out in front of over 200 applications, is I found out who the hiring manager was, and I sent her a message on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, name, I have just applied for job title. Would love to have a quick call to see if I'd be suitable for the role."
Okay.
So I made it super easy for her to
Reach out to you.
reach out to me. It kind of put my resume straight to the top.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is they interviewed 3 people for the role, and one of them was me. The reality is, how the F are you going to stand out on a stack of 200 resumes, right? But I made it really easy for her to hire me. That's another lesson in marketing. Availability bias. Availability bias is one of the cognitive biases, which basically means you want to make things available to people. So for example, on your website, if you want someone to buy something, make it very easy to find the buy button, right?
Yeah.
A lot of websites, you've probably seen this. You're trying to book a hotel. You're trying to book a car. You're trying to, do something. Most websites suck. They make
Yeah.
it hard for you to check out.
And even for products, you have to add it to the cart
Yeah.
and then do the whole checkout process.
Yes.
As compared to Amazon, which lets you buy in one click.
Exactly. And then Amazon, what do? They make it convenient. They
Yeah.
ship it next day, sometimes same day. So you want to make it convenient for them to see your resume and convenient for them to hire you. The reality is they don't want to look through no one wants to read 200 shitty resumes. Most people's resumes suck.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if this lady looked at my resume, but she called me because I made it easy for her. And on the phone, I was able to convey a lot more than what my piece of paper with my credentials, which are the same credentials as everyone else. I studied at university.
Yeah.
What makes me unique, right?
Yeah.
So that allowed me to at least get the interview.
Okay. All right. So these are some very good tips for someone who is just starting in marketing.
Mhm.
I have one more question related to this. Do you really think that you, in like this age and time where it's, the knowledge is available on internet and you have different coaches and trainers
Yeah.
who are selling their courses about it, do you really think that one needs a university degree to go big in
Yeah.
marketing?
Yeah.
Or they don't?
So this
What
is
if someone has a major in English literature?
yeah.
Can they succeed in marketing?
So this is going back to the knowledge versus skills, right?
Yeah.
When Ty asked me, what are your skills? I was studying marketing at the time, but I still didn't have the skills.
Okay.
So do you need a degree? No.
Okay.
Do you need to go through courses and YouTube videos? No. But again, avoid extreme ideologies.
Okay.
Like, is there a downside to getting a degree? Not
No.
really. The downside is money,
Yeah.
right? A lot of places in the world, the government, like in Australia, they paid for my degree. Basically, they don't pay for it. I pay them back over time, but it didn't
Yeah.
cost me anything up front.
Yeah.
So there's little downside to getting the degree. It's a lot of people say, you don't need a degree. I don't think you need a degree. If you want to get into marketing, doing it again, I probably wouldn't get the degree.
Okay, yeah, coming back to it, like what are, like, retrospectively, if you think about it, what are some things or some mistakes that if you get a chance to do it again, you won't do? Like you mentioned, you wouldn't do your degree
Yeah.
if you had the chance to do it again. What are like some other things that you would avoid doing?
So I would begin much earlier. I would
Okay.
start much earlier. So if you're watching this, start today. Start actually putting a game plan together and start applying for roles.
Okay.
If you wanted to go down that path. So for me, I took this advice at 16. I knew I wanted to get into marketing, so I actually did start off with it. I started doing work experience at another big agency at 16, and it was going great. Like they loved me there, and I loved it, but I stopped. And between the ages of 16 and whatever it was, 26, I
Oh.
didn't continue it, right? So by the age of 18, I should have been past that whole learning phase of learning from someone else, and I could have been doing it myself.
Okay.
But instead, I added time to the equation.
Okay. All right, that's good. And so, what do you think about AI in marketing? Like, do you think with the advancement in artificial intelligence
Yeah.
and how exponentially it's growing
Mm-hmm.
and it's improving, do you think there would be a time when, obviously, I think there would be a time when we won't need people to manage marketing,
Yeah.
but is it something that is still worth learning and worth doing for next 10 years or maybe 20 years for for kids, is it a good thing to get into?
You're saying a good thing to get into marketing because
Yeah.
there's AI.
Yeah.
I mean, you could ask that question about anything.
Yeah.
So you could say, is it good to get in? Is it good to become a petroleum engineer?
Yeah. I think that's still good because AI can't. I mean, you can find oil
Yeah.
or you can find fossils,
Yeah.
but you cannot have AI dig it up.
Sure.
So you would still, like, maybe in 100 years, but as compared to things that you can do remotely, like marketing or copywriting or just general assistance like what I do, I think AI would in like maybe uh, 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
the need to hire people
Yeah.
to do these things
Yeah.
would be really, really reduced.
Sure.
So what do you think about that in the marketing industry, in digital marketing industry?
I mean, I don't know. Right now, AI is just a tool. So I recommend, just like you're going to learn how to do Facebook ads, if you're going to do Facebook ads, you should learn how to use AI and use it as a tool, because right now it is a tool. But one day it might not be a tool, it might be the employee.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so we have talked a lot about marketing
Yeah.
and how to start it, what's some good things, what's some things that you don't need to do. But do you like doing it?
Yes.
Do you love it?
Yes.
Is it something that you would be doing in 10 years?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. For me, I always knew I wanted to get into marketing.
Uh-huh.
I read the book like when I was like 14, The 4-Hour Work Week, and that basically sold the lifestyle of having a business that you can run remotely and make money online and work from a beach. So, and that book made me realize the importance of marketing, because without marketing, these businesses can't operate. And so
do you see yourself
for me personally, yes. But
making money on a beach in like 5 years?
I mean, I'm kind of doing it. I'm kind of doing it now. You know, I'm kind of doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
life is good.
LIG, life is good. Life is good. All right, can probably wrap up there. But to summarize, if you want to get into marketing, find someone. Do two things. Do your own self-learning, right? YouTube courses, books, podcasts. There's thousands of ways you can learn marketing online or in person. And secondly, find someone who can teach you, whether it's an unpaid internship, whether you're getting paid in a job, or whether you are somehow getting your first client and learning with your first client. But just realize it's going to be a learning curve, and you got to just dedicate your time
and just
and
start
your
today.
energy. And start today. That's the biggest thing. Start today. That's the theme of 2024 for me. It's like reduce the amount of time to take an action, like recording YouTube videos.
Just do it.
Just do it. LIG.
I like it.
And if you want to know something else you should just do, hit that subscribe button.
Exactly.
Like Sarosh was saying, reduce the amount of time it takes to take an action. So if you've ever thought about subscribing to a YouTube channel, if you've ever wondered what happens when you hit that juicy red button, find out right now. Just do it. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. We've got something super exciting. Should we tell them what one of the future videos is going to be about?
Sure. So they are excited about it.
So should we give them a hint?
Yes.
Look, this is all we'll say. This is coming out soon. Maybe not the next video, but there's a secret industry that almost every, I'm not going to say every millionaire uses this, but everyone that's at nine figures
sure
and
every
above.
billionaire uses
For
it.
sure, every billionaire uses it, and pretty much every person doing probably 9 figures and above. I've met 8-figure entrepreneurs that aren't doing this, and they're probably stuck at 8 figures because they're not doing this.
Yeah.
And Sarosh is the king of this. The reason, listen, the reason Sarosh comes from Pakistan,
Yeah.
and he's currently in Dubai smoking a cigar
Yeah.
while drinking a coffee at 2 a.m, LIG, life is good, is because he learned the skill.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about that in a future episode. So you don't want to miss
very
it.
soon.
And we'll see you there on the next one. So hit that subscribe so you don't miss that one. Hit the thumbs up if you want to learn more, and drop a comment in the chat. I want you to write 3 places you could go learn marketing right now.